Oilers, you got a great offense with Connor McDavid. So I have them sweeping them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you heard my point. The San Francisco Giants have 3 more in the 2010s than the Rangers have in their entire history. So, yeah.
It's hard to get back and to get back-to-back wins. And I don't see the Lightning doing it here, so I have them losing to the Hurricanes in 6.
We don't talk about the 2010s because the 2010s had the Astros. And if the Astros didn't happen, the Yankees would have won in 2017.
He was close to Frank Reich, and they want Frank Reich back, so that's what they got. It's their discount Frank Reich.
Kaprizov and the rest of this crew, Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props. He definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more.
Hi, this is Julie Dobbs. You're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. The Dallas Stars preseason has started, and with that comes expectations because they're difficult. Well, it's not difficult. It's just in an awkward spot because we have to, or the Stars, they fired a coach that got them to the Western Conference Finals 3 straight times, but and to me, I think the expectations are Stanley Cup appearance.
I think for them it's winning one because they've already made a Stanley Cup final appearance recently enough in this memory that I don't know if making it and losing in it will make fans too happy. Yes, you moved on and you got to the Stanley Cup final, but I don't think fans would be satisfied because, again, they've already seen them lose in the Stanley Cup final in this decade.
So this year they have to win the Stanley Cup final.
I don't think they have to, but I think for fans to be satisfied, yes. I don't know if it's really much of an improvement because of how close they've been in all these years.
I think because of how close they've been and how they just haven't gotten through that point, that's the goal, is you have to get to the Stanley Cup final. You just have to win the conference.
I think it's win it because, again, they've already tasted the Stanley Cup final and lost.
But I would say that was with a different group. Yes,
sure, but there's still
it wasn't the core.
The core definitely was the same.
I wouldn't say no. Jason Robertson was not as pivotal as an important player as he is now on that team. I don't know. I think he was on that. I know he was on the Stars.
Yeah, he was. So was Rope. So was obviously Miro was amazing during that run.
Yeah, Miro. I'm trying to see how much time he got because he didn't get much time with the Stars in those games compared to what he would if they are playing in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. He played during the regular season but didn't play in the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
But there are question marks regarding his postseason performances. Last year he was not the greatest when he did play. But I don't think losing in the Stanley Cup final would show anything because that would be 4 straight Western Conference final appearances if you make it to the Stanley Cup and lose, right? That's your second Stanley Cup final appearance in the 2020s, all being losses. I mean, how many tickets can you get that far, right? That deep? How many lottery tickets can you get and lose and expect yourself to come back from it? That's why I'm worried. I mean, 3 straight Western Conference Finals. Not many teams have done that. I mean, at this point, they're basically the Buffalo Bills of the Western Conference Finals. But
yeah,
we've also seen them in the Stanley Cup Final. And while they were close in that series during parts of it, they obviously didn't come through at the end. And I just had my reservations regarding their decor and some of the. Now they don't have DeBoer, so there's definitely a lot of question marks regarding their coaching staff. What are your expectations for what will happen versus not fans' expectations, but because obviously the expectations are to at least make a Stanley Cup final appearance, or at least we'll say at least a Western Conference final appearance. But what are your expectations versus the fans?
So I like to be pessimistic more because it's harder to get disappointed that way. But also I think this is a short-term view while also not being a short. This is a 2-year vision, I would say. I view this year as while DeBoer. I'm talking about how the Stars are viewing it based on what they did. While DeBoer got them great success, 3 Western Conference Finals appearances, the style didn't work to advance to the Stanley Cup final. They were like I'd want to say like they were close, but it wasn't close as well. They were competitive to a point in the Western Conference Finals in all 3 years.
I mean, I think that the last year Pavelski was there, that was one. I mean, they're up 2-0 in the series. Or 2-1 in the series.
But then they just couldn't close it out.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's structure. I don't think you get up in a series like that, and it's the structure that's the problem. I just think players couldn't follow through. Obviously, there's the whole Jamie Benn debacle where they were the best team through those first 2 games and ended up losing those games. I don't think that's structure. I mean, losing those games in overtime, I don't think is a structure issue. Maybe the Jamie Benn penalty is a structure issue. I could see that argument, but I know you like to be pessimistic. That's where you and I differ strongly regarding how we should view sports and the teams that we are after. I think the Stars' expectations this year, though, are relatively low for me because I just don't like the roster makeup still. I have to see a lot. I mean, I know I told you this, that the Stars D-core, I just see a lot of problems in it. And while Miro is a top 5 defenseman in the league, in my opinion, the rest of the D-core just needs to get better, especially those young guys. Harley's obviously good. Lundqvist, we'll see. But I just think there's some problems that they need to address. I think a big reason why DeBoer got fired wasn't necessarily structure or not getting past the Western Conference Finals, but really what happened in that last game, the Western Conference Finals, between him and Otter. I think they really had to make a decision between the franchise goalkeeper and the head coach, and they understandably chose the guy who's going to be with the team long-term in Otter. But I do wonder how this new coaching staff is going to manage that and what tightrope they're really going to walk.
Yeah, and to me, this new coaching staff is really building off what DeBoer built with the success, but also changing. I think there's going to be a shift in attitude. It's not really an X's and O's, but it's an attitude in hockey. And to me, there's like, yes, Gulotson was with the Stars before, but he was on the Oilers that beat the Stars the past 2 years. I don't think that's coincidence. I do think there's a reason for that. So, and this is his first time after a while of being a head coach again. It's gonna take some time, which is why I think this year is sort of a transition year. And also this year, talking about Jason Robertson, he could be traded. But it's not going to be, I think, like a Micah or Luka trade. Luka's, yeah, they shouldn't be really considered, but it's not. It's going to be on a level to where I think they get a good. I'm pretty sure they'll get a good deal, and it's all reliant on the contract discussions between Robertson and Jim Nill.
How do you think those are going to go?
So currently, there's nothing happening. I can see Jim Nill. I think it's more likely Jim Nill trades Jason Robertson than keeps him because Jason Robertson wants the amount of money similar to Mikko Rantanen. And Jim Nill is going to say no. Also, you don't produce in the playoffs. So I'm not willing to pay that. I'd rather trade you and then get picks, and also invest in defense. Like, I could see them trading.
But, okay, do you think okay, you said 2-year window, right, to actually compete. So you would think that they would trade for like a Miko deal instead of a prospect deal. Correct me if
I don't know, because Jim Nill is a GM that focuses on the now and the future.
But I don't know how long you can push stuff into the future.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think it would be a mixture of both. I think you would get a win now player with some upside on the defensive side and a prospect or a pick.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be hard to balance that though, because you either have to commit to a second line defenseman and a decent prospect, or go all in on a first line defenseman, right? Like you can't have your cake and eat it too, as the mantra always goes.
Exactly. And the idea of trading him this season is because there's more length on the contract.
Yeah, you'd get more for it.
You would get more. That's why you trade him this year.
And you think he does get traded?
I go back and forth. I would say 60-40. He gets traded, not traded.
60 being traded.
60 being traded. I think it's leaning that way.
And if he was going to be traded, you think it'd be this season?
Yes, because you get more. I don't see it being a deadline deal because Jim Nill's a guy that focuses on what he can get.
Okay. So you think if he survives this season, they're going to sign an extension? Let's say he does not get traded this year. You don't think he gets traded next year?
I don't think it gets traded next year because the value wouldn't work.
Okay.
Of trading him.
So the Stars' expectations this year for you are what?
I would say you have to be a playoff team and win. Like, you have to make it to the second round and be competitive. Like, you can't.
And then your 2-year outlook is finals.
2-year outlook.
Stanley Cup final appearance.
Win the final.
Or win.
Year 2.
Win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Or at least make it to the Stanley Cup. But you have to be in the Stanley Cup in year 2. Year 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more pessimistic, but that's just because I don't like the structure. If they were to change, again, if they trade Robertson and I like the structure more, I may be more of a fan of it. I just feel like the past couple of years, they've kind of neglected what made them good. So, I mean, in the 2020 year, defense was their best part, right? Like with Bonus, their defense is what made them good. And then with DeBoer, it was offense that made them good, but their defense lacked, right? So it's like they keep inversing without getting a strong balance. So I need to see that balance take shape because most of the teams, Florida's, I think, a great example of it. I don't think Florida's the best defensive team or best offensive team, but they're easily top 5 in both.
Yeah, and to me, that's what Gudlatson is trying to do of, okay, Bonus was good on defense, DeBoer increased offense. Now, how does he merge them with the attitude? And I think that's a hard thing to do during your first year.
What helps is Ottinger, right? Like you don't have to address goaltending, which I think is a problem that the Oilers have had to deal with. Is like, do we address defense, getting better at that, or do we address goaltending? And they've decided to address defense. Their defense is definitely better, but their goaltending is still the reason why they're losing games in the postseason.
And having Miro helps the Stars.
Sure, but you can't. I mean, eventually he's going to be run into the ground, and that's really the problem that you risk shortening his career by doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I think they're betting on guys in their own system like Liam Bichelle. Of course, Thomas Harley is already great, but getting better. And then I want to say Kyrou. Yeah, it's Christian Kyrou because Jordan Kyrou is on the Blues.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Christian Kyrou, the defenseman.
Okay. Well, my outlook for the Stars this year is a first-round exit. If I had to predict what was going to happen. Now, they trade Robertson. The team changes a lot. It could definitely sway. I also need to see how the new coaching staff works because they've said a lot of stuff, and I've seen it. But it can be coach speak, if you know what coach speak means.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be quotes like you can say the right quote.
Exactly. You need to prove that your word is worth what it's supposed to be. So we'll see. Stars definitely have high expectations, and deservedly so. If you make 3 Western Conference Finals, or I guess 4 if you include 2020 and Stanley Cup Finals appearance, you expect to eventually win one. So
exactly. Yeah, and they have yet to do that. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.